I'm live. How come I'm not hearing anything? No, hold on a second. I'm trying to, because this is probably going to be so echoey. So I'm putting some video back up. So if the sound of how this is going might be driving me crazy now, just have faith. Wait a minute. Have faith and know that you can. I'll play it back for you some other time if there's stuff that we love from it. Sorry, it's 10:35 on. Really? Wait a minute. It's New Year's Eve, so sorry. Hi, wait, sorry. Wait. Dude, wait a second. Oh no, where'd the picture go? All right, hi. So, just miracles to everyone, good health miracles to everyone everywhere. I was hoping and praying that the House bill HR 8662, which until like early in the summer, like until October, the bill was HR. It's 7071, and it's this act, ALS Act, accelerating access to accelerating access to critical therapies for people with ALS and other motor neuron diseases, and was hoping and praying that the bill would pass in Congress at the end of the session. And we're down at the very, very end of the session, and miracles still happen, because there's already, I think most folks who know better than me are like saying, no, let's get ready for gear up for next sessions, fighting, recruiting everybody that's like heartbroken that everybody's dying, that right now ALS is 100% fatal and it doesn't have to be. And there's so many experimental drugs in the pipeline, but it takes 10, 12, sometimes even 14 years for a drug to get through, to be approved. And there's all these drugs that have passed safely, effectively, stage 3 trials. And a lot of doctors feel that that they'll end up coming up kind of like with AIDS, a combination of drugs to best like let somebody live and live and live and live. And that would be amazing because we lost my stepsister, Phil Gerber, who I love so much forever. And we lost her to ALS on June 15th, just 6.5 months ago. And then her dad, Milt Ebner. So Phil Gerber married John Gerber. Then Milt and Jean fell in love and had Phil and Stuart and Howard. And just love and Happy New Year to everybody. Oh my God. But Phil's gone. She went through what people are going through now with ALS. Phil went through that, the most wrenching pain. And then John was there for her every day and her amazing kids. And just everybody was so blessing everybody else. And the way you can the way you can get people psyched. I'm so bad at this. Like if I tweet something, I don't know, it's like reaching maybe 1 or 2 people, same with Facebook or YouTube. I don't know how to. So anybody's welcome to pass it along. But like, there's an August 15th article by Laura Stampler. She doesn't work for Time Magazine anymore, but at the time it's Time Magazine 27 best celebrity ice bucket challenges. And when you say ALS, people are like, what? But you go, ice bucket challenge. You go, oh my God. And it made it fun. And it put on a face on it 6 summers ago in the summer of 2014. So there are all these people like on the top of the 27 celebrities list of these ice bucket videos on Time Magazine. And it's Oprah Winfrey and LeBron James and Taylor Swift and Chris Pratt and Kerry Washington and Lena Dunham and Amy Schumer, who when I've been writing to folks, I've been saying like, well, she's shown care because of her dad's not ALS, but her dad's MS. So, but that's the thing, to be unafraid, because the truth is always it's the thing we could speak with our whole heart to, and instead of it took me to start to go to Richie Neal's office, and he still won't be one of the 278 co-sponsors in Congress. And I just wrote to him today, and like 4 or 5 times I thought it was an algorithm in there. Every time I spent more than 3 or 4 or 5 minutes trying to write to Richie Neal about our amazing stepsister, Phil Gerber, is gone. She died. And then I didn't write this, but her dad, like our amazing stepdad, her dad, Milt, we lost him December 6th. We had a Zoom funeral on December 10th, just 3 weeks ago. And they couldn't be together at the end of each of their lives. But love pours through like every dimension, every moment, in every situation. And so don't The bill, if you're about to turn us off, never have to listen to me. But the bill in Congress that has 278 congresspersons right now co-sponsoring it. So the miracle still could possibly happen. If you pass that on to folks and you get the people that signed up for the Ice Bucket Challenge and made a big deal about it, like LeBron and Oprah and Martha Stewart and Taylor Swift and Ben Stiller and who else? What I said, Lena Dunham and Amy Schumer, Ethel Kennedy and Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates. Now people are throwing stuff. Okay. And Steven Spielberg, and more stuff to get ready to throw stuff, and then Jeff Bezos, yeah, come up with an acoustic organic version of like 1/1,000,000th the size of Amazon, so you don't keep giving money to Bezos or anybody that's not, committing. Like, you want to ask just people to be fair. Like if you asked each of the Walmart kids, the Walton kids, that like years ago, they between the five of them had like 150 billion, God knows what they have now. But if you said, I keep thinking this, if you went up to them and said, when you were a kid, a little kid, and someone said, you could have a whole $1 billion to do whatever you want with them, you think that would be enough? And be like, yeah, oh my God, going back all those years, of course it would be enough. I mean, it's thinking other people know, like check in with everybody. Everybody's our teacher. Everywhere you turn on earth is your teacher. Even seemingly inanimate things are like teaching us in every moment, instead of some like old hippie that appears to be saying this to us right now. I mean, me. I mean, just ask all your indigenous friends instead. Instead, I should just wait. Hold on, because it's 1 hour and 19 minutes left to the end of 2020, which has been so tough on like everybody. On so many folks. Oh, so the bill is HR 8662 in the House of Representatives. Corresponding bill in the Senate is S4867, and it's the Accelerating Access to Critical Therapies Act, and that also includes not just folks for critical therapies for ALS, but also other like motor neuron degenerative diseases. And miracles happen all the time. But seriously, like if there's somebody like that went and there's a movie. It's called You're Not You, and it's an ALS movie. And Hilary Swank, did she win the Oscar Best Actress twice? I know at least once for Boys Don't Cry. I'm trying to remember. I think somebody, I don't know, I have no idea. So let me know, or just sing it out. Whatever answers we ever think we're swimming towards, or we're trying to guess instead of looking up on Wikipedia. But if you can't resist looking up Wikipedia, sing every sentence, and that's liberating. If there's people like who are dead who wrote words, and when you sing the words instead of reading them and you sing them out loud, or if you have like a baby sleeping on your chest right here, you can like whisper sing them, or just like dream sing them, sing them into the top of their forehead, to the top of the cupola there. So find folks. I say cupola, I just thought of Alan Arkin, because Alan Arkin, I was telling my mom how much I was sending you love and saying how my family loves you. And because I was thinking of not just people that have 1 million followers, people who like, I smile when I think of maybe they'd want to help out with this ALS Act. And because it doesn't have to be 100% fatal disease. It really doesn't, and it's about how intense you get with it. And that's another reason to use the AIDS correlation. Like people did not backing down. Larry Kramer, who we lost this year. At first, he was the biggest adversary in the world to Dr. Fauci, Anthony Fauci. And they ended up becoming the dearest of buddies because Larry Kramer was the ultimate thorn in the side, just would never ever back down. So you sung from hearts of everyone, you sung from lights of everywhere, you breathe from lights of everyone, you're singing from everywhere you've ever walked through, is singing into you. Every tree that's ever noticed or not noticed. When you're tree and dreaming, when you're mountain dreaming, when you're tree and dreaming, you're also a mountain dreaming. And these mergans and mothers with their 8 and 10 ducklings, taking care of each other's ducklings, while the other mom needs to rest a little bit off the river, or further down the river. Other mom takes care of her kids. The other mom takes care of her kids. These moms help out each other all through the day and night. They sing from heaven, being ever. They like love that's forever being. They sing from the heart of every baby ever. All these mothers sing in their mind, in their sleep, in their nap, in their dream. They sing from the heart of every baby ever. Only here, 'cause of Mother Earth. Every mother is Mother Earth as well. Every mother is Mother Earth as well. Mother Earth is nice enough to let us live. What are we doing today to thank her back? Mother Earth is really nice enough to let us live. What are we doing right now to love Mother Earth back? Your love life sings from way off at the end. Your heart songs, they're born thanks to ever being. We are all from the same soup, the same sparks, the same dust, the same water. And if you are thinking you're only dust and you're forgetting that once you were water, like when people go and keep doing investigations of the composition of the rocks, of whatever dust on Mars, like was there water flowing here? Interview every dust, interview every pebble. Did you have water singing through you? Say it to us through any range, through any bass, through any treble, through any heart you are sung. Anywhere you've ever looked, you are also sung. Your laugh sings from the breath of everything. So G. See, if it's super echo on this, like I said, I have backup recording, so sorry if it's crazy echo. And if it drives you crazy, I said just turn yourself at any moment and sing with everyone you've ever loved in mind. Include folks that aren't alive anymore in your beautiful open mind, and then widen that rippling circle of love light, that's in the heart of everything ever. It's in every baby ever. Just keep rippling that out through nursing home walls and sweatshop walls and prison walls. Could you imagine if all the folks like in prison and in nursing homes and in sweatshops all had access to the vaccine now? Because it's crazy. Just look at New York Times today. It was like only 2.5 million doses have been put out in this country, even though 14 million have been shipped. And then you just think of the whole, we're like the first world suffering versus third world suffering, because the majority of the vaccines have been scooped up by European nations and America and Canada and Australia and Japan. Just there's not that many countries that are like it. But that's been our whole life. That's how 2020 just made that more mirror in the face. But that's our whole life. I'm 62 now, and that's past average life expectancy of males in like over 40 countries, mostly sub-Saharan, but always Haitian males in Haiti. That's always the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. My entire life, your entire life, it's always been, and it's like kind of as punishment. So most historians would think it's punishment for having had a successful slave revolt over 200 years ago. So it will show you slaves what happens when you revolt, because they're the other half of an island that that is way wealthier, and it tends to honor lighter skinned people in general more. And that's one of the idea how darker skinned people, how women are treated. And all we can do is work on our own moment to moment behavior, so. And then again, a good starting point is like everyone's my teacher. So let's sing. We'll sing from the heart of every. We'll sing. You can tell me to be quiet, or like I said, turn off the screen at any moment. But I hope you don't feel alone just because it's New Year's Eve. I mean, even before COVID, like last New Year's Eve and almost all, I think of going down 6.5 miles to First Night in Northampton. And then almost every time I've only gone maybe 3 times or something over the years. Because you just always want to get the last art and the last music. And I've been doing this. So here, the last art of the year. So here, this was earlier. Wait, can you see that? Hold on. Why did it just get so blurry? All right, hold on. and this one too. Can you see this? Sweet, hold on. There, okay. But this is, hold on. No, that's from before tonight. Okay, hold on. You're getting sleepy. You're getting watery. You're getting dreamy. You're getting wavy. Wow, just wow. Do people, when people really melt your heart open, do they kind of help you feel like the ocean, or you suddenly don't know what just happened because you're feeling like the ocean? Wait a minute, hold on. Thank you, yeah, love life. Thank you for sitting in the heart of every PM ever. Thank you, yeah, for being. Thank you for birthing us all from the love light. That everyone is really long from. Everyone is really always from love. Everyone is really always the root of love, even though so often I'm so scared to look. Everyone deep down's the root of love, even though most of the time I'm so scared to look. But when you bring love to the noticing, and suddenly miracles start to happen. If you're in an area that seems to be sucking and just draining you and just driving you crazy, just bring love and see what starts to happen. Bring love light and see what starts to happen. Because often seconds after I feel like I'm being pelted by all the energy in the world, I'm like, but I could sing it back to you if you just like shout all these arrows. It'd be kind of like when all the arrows were flying at Buddha and he just opened his heart so wide. So he turned them into like flower petals, like just showering down. Oh no, it's not hard, because I don't know how anything works, but everything is this vibrant dance of love light, right? Like when we learned in 4th or 5th grade, and you start seeing photoelectron microscopic blowups of cellular activity, and or because it always feels like the amoeba, like the first single cell. I love it because in this amazing book of where is it? The Audubon Society Field Guide of North American Fossils. And it's, instead of calling it algae, like the one cell, like alga, ALGA without the E at the end. And so that's the first peace circle. The amoeba is the first peace circle. And you got so excited. That's how mitosis came. It's like the first time tripping, or the first time getting high, or the first time just waking up and just realizing like the Earth is family. You don't need any drug to do that. You don't have to be in any ceremony. But how dare I say that? Because every moment on Earth is really ceremony. When you say ceremony, it doesn't have to be a drag. That whole, right? When you circle up, just like a concert, instead of saying, "Oh, I'm so far from the person on the stage," or you're in church and I want to get a good seat so I can see that the pastor or the rabbi, be like, when does the magic start to happen? When you hand over your third row ticket to somebody because you'd rather be just feeling the heart, the circle of everyone in the room, breathing everyone that's well, it's not just the people in the room, it's everyone that's ever lived is always pouring through love to every moment. That's how, like, when I was going to get all stuttery and freaked out the last couple of weeks, whenever I'd call congressional offices and talk to congressional aides and interns and different wonderful staffers, and mostly you just get message machines, but you don't know when the cutoff's coming, and you want to tell them about your stepsister who died from ALS on June 15th. Phil Gerber, Phil like short for Phyllis, Gerber like the baby food, amazing mother and grandmother and daughter and aunt and cousin and sister. We lost her, and within 6 months apart, and just earlier this month was her dad, Milt, the most amazing stepdad. And so, but he had congestive heart failure for a long time, and they just it was really great steward to this amazing thing. Phil's younger brother, 2 years younger than her, the older brother to Howard, but Stuart sent down an iPhone. So in the last 2 weeks of Milt's life, the last like 12 days or so, Milt had the iPhone and the FaceTime, and we were doing the FaceTime together, and it was like roulette with like with just a few, not many of us, and he just having you just got so happy for him, because he'd never had an iPhone before, and he'd never got into like the video thing before. Although we did That's beautiful. We had, because he passed on December 6th, and on Thanksgiving we had a Zoom with the whole family. And then the other Zoom we just had was on the Sunday of Hanukkah, the one Sunday of Hanukkah, and we ended up talking mostly about Milt more than anything. But you really, yeah, you really feel Milt and Phil are like guiding, helping everyone out. But also, I know they're going to help, just like everyone else who's passed away from ALS. They're going to help, like, get this passed. You know, the Act for ALS Act, HR 8622. The corresponding bill in the Senate is S 4867. It's accelerating access to critical therapies for ALS and other motor neuron diseases. And yeah, just, you know, it was before I met him, because we just had him. We had Milt the last 18 years, and my mom just lost her best friend for the last 18 years. And everybody would say, like, my mom kept him alive longer, because that's it. It's immune boosting when it really feels like who he was married to and who my mom was married to. So my dad in Dead Realm, and Gene, and they're both in Angel Realm, and I think they're just, you know, definitely helped, you know, because when people think, do I have a right to be this happy after, you know, and Milt treated my mom even nicer, you know, for all the love my dad gave, Milt treated her much nicer. And that's such a beautiful thing. That's such a blessed thing. And you feel like, I feel like every dead person that is like giving better advice than they would have done themselves. Just like every dead general is whispering into the ear, present day heads of boards of people say on boards of directors, or generalissimos, or prime ministers, or different orderers of death squads, and go, don't do it. Don't do what I did. You know, you'll have to live with that and the pain, and you don't want to inflict post-traumatic stress disorder on anybody, or even you don't want to give it to yourself. It's just like, every day is the only day ever. Might as well just hand over all the love in the world. I'm talking so long, I said I should be playing music. Look at this. There's actually, there might be, oh my God, there might be 2 people looking at this. Hi, if 2 people are there, and if you're not, it's okay. And if you need to go anywhere, I'm going to get the guitar again. Oh, wait, hold on. Your heart lights up every BM. Sung from the heart of everywhere. Make all the lists you want, but you're still gonna be sung from the heart of everyone. The vow that's who is sung by you. Whenever you're napping, you're dreaming with every being that's ever lived. You're sung from the heart of every being, no matter what you think is going on. Everyone, even the scariest folks, are in the middle of a spiritual journey. They just don't realize that the quicker you love really mean people, you'll accelerate their rate at getting back to the kindness they were really born from. Every mean need was really, really wonderful when they were a little baby. Don't let people even say they're just a bad seed. They've never been a good kid. Like, dude, the first day you're born, you're like the most beautiful, radiant, you know, kid in the universe. And hopefully your mom is there, and everyone else supporting just is there to shine back to you, like how amazing and radiant you are. But if for some reason anybody's feeling like that, alone and heartbroken, that they don't have all that love that like every mother hands to every baby, you know, or the ocean hands to every wave, you know, or like when wave, just that everything comes in waves. Think of it, humans, we get to wave. When you go wave, it's like acknowledging and reaching out and connecting, and it's like all sounds come in waves, and all sight comes in waves. And I don't know how anything works, but I know that all these folks that I love so much that are dead, like, why would they stop handing out love and believing in love just because they're technically dead? And to me, the number one proof, I mean, because I grew up in New York City and then living in Western Mass here, but I mean, it's just, well, it's 6.5 miles, there's 30,000 people. But even if there wasn't, there's cars. But whenever you're in a dense situation with traffic, that's to me proof that there's a zillion angels around, because the fact that every car isn't being crashed into by all these other cars, because people in our minds, no matter how focused we think we are, we do think of other things besides exactly where we are in this thing that can kill, this machine that we're driving down the road. And so I'm convinced that all these angels are keeping us from spacing. Just the fact, keeping our foot, the muscle memory, keeping your foot on the brake and not drifting into traffic when you're thinking about so many things, because suddenly you're not rushing, so you're sitting. But like, we get thrown into dream time. Like, think of it, the fastest human over 100 yards can run maybe 22, 23 miles an hour. And when you're driving in a car, even really slow, that's faster than that. So it just feels like it sends you into dream time. Now, you can't, unless you want the biggest ticket ever, you can't usually tell that if you get pulled over by a cop. And now I just felt weird in the middle of saying it because here I am, the white privilege, saying like being pulled over by a cop. And and a dear friend of mine, hi Jess, and we were driving. I was driving. Spirit and I, because I saved probably many lives by not getting a license till I was 31. I failed twice when I was 17. And luckily, I mean, I got to meet thousands more people because of hitching, but also I probably saved so many lives. But from fireworks at Jess, mother of Ruby and Maple, sweetheart to Sean. And so when I said this cop pulled me over, the state police of on the interstate and going from Greenfield towards Northampton, and then after he said he still could have decided to write me a ticket because he's like, I'm not writing your ticket. And he could have given it for like because I had lights out on my plate. I'm trying to remember. It's something I'd known about. Had been driving around in side roads or whatever for like 3, 4, 5 months before that. And and I wouldn't shut up about because he's like a Marine. He's like, he was bummed. He felt like he had been suckered into being the Marine, but he also probably was like, yeah, I'm a Marine because you're a Marine forever. And so but I got to talking with him about depleted uranium because most soldiers that I've met, and usually often we get to have a good hug after. I didn't get to hug this cop though, and he had let me off for a ticket, and that was the point. Jess is like, oh yeah, well Sean and other, you males, you white males, you're getting away with the ticket, and I just, because of like hundreds of times when I've talked to cops, like interviewed cops over the years, it's like often they'd be like, well, they don't. That's the thing. Almost nobody, hopefully, has a scenario in their head, no matter what horrible things happen. And here I am, white privilege, gliding through, to not be scared to death in the same way if I was much darker skinned. But that's what I was saying to somebody on the phone earlier, just like whether you're at a demonstration or when post-COVID, when you go back, activists like that, protesters and cops, riot gear, or like even cops at a concert, you try and engage, you'd be like, but seriously, if cops are in riot gear, you'd be like, hi, I start asking about where they'd rather be, and almost 95% of the time when I ask cops that, they'd be like, they'd rather be with their family. And so you wish all that warmth for them. You wish them they're going to be less likely to like break out the riot baton or gun or pepper spray or taser if you got them thinking about their family, as opposed to like having to be in the most defensive stance and then write up fake reports of like getting into a shooting crouch and the person had nothing. They almost never have a gun in the waistband. And what is it? There's a New Yorker article from the last month or two about the power, the scary power of the Vallejo, California police department, and how they just wielded such power that they ended up controlling the city council, because if you wanted their backing, if you wanted to stay there, and you needed their backing, and just but every that's the point, and that's what we're going to have to go through, like here as we go in an hour. Oh my God, in an hour and in 57 minutes we'll be in 2021. And unless we push Joe and Kamala to do like so much, but we have to do so much. It's exciting. It's just like you don't because I feel shattered when I try, and that was the thing the last weeks of just like every time reaching out to a congressional office, it's like I was just afraid I'd have like Tourette's or something before getting on the phone. I feel not emotionally ready. There's no way. I'm just too freaked to be able to make the call. And we are always more ready than we think, because like we're doing it on behalf of folks who, well, ALS is the most horrific disease. It's like it shuts down your muscles. You can't, that you end up not being able to walk, or move your hands to feed yourself, and then you end up having a feeding tube, and you have you have breathing apparatus. You have first part-time and then more and more breathing apparatus. And this amazing woman who would show you how this site was set up mostly by her brother Mayank. The family's Saxena is their last name, and their amazing mom and her amazing dog Theo. And they're in the neighborhood in Queens. They're really just a few miles from me, like 3 miles from me. I don't know what part of Flushing, but we took the Q15 into Flushing. And so Mayuri, it's helpmayuri.com. And she has like these 2 masters in like public administration and I think, international relations or whatever. She was working for the State Department, and then she was working for the city. And she left DC in like 2016 and came to New York. And that's when she came down with this. And it turns out it's a genetic version. There's so many different versions of ALS. And but that's why I started talking about it, because she can only see with her, talk with her eyes. She'll look at an assisting screen and she'll look at the letters, and then this letter space, and can you imagine? Because you think about how you are with, when you see somebody painting with their foot, with the bit between their toes, or painting with their mouth, but then not being able to do that and knowing. But the mind is as strong and clear and amazing and magical and helpful and soulful and, earth blessing, such a nourishing, kind mind still is. We should just feel that. I think that when we go down the street anywhere, someone doesn't have to be in a wheelchair for us to feel that way. It could be like and it's like if somebody can't smile at us when we're going down the street, we don't know their degree of pain. Just that they're standing upright and they're walking down the street maybe is like the biggest, most amazing breakthrough for them. Or maybe they were feeling so shattered that there was like no way they were ready to go out and meet the day. And it's a time release thing, like a delayed thing. So maybe if you smile at the person that's walking by and they're holding on to like the thought of their loved one who maybe passed away, and who they don't have to talk to in person or hug or listen to the singing voice. They can imagine the singing voice and they can hear it on some level, but not the actual singing voice of the person like next to their head and their hair. And, that person could have taken everything to step outside their door, like everything in the world. And so just because they can't smile back, they might be 100 yards or 40 yards or even a day later. They'll be like, like we just suddenly, did I just walk through an area? Did I walk through an area where somebody smiled at me and waved and I'd not wave back? And we do that all the time. I mean, we could say we're so like, I think it's all human based, but like everything, every tree is singing as we walk by, every rock is singing, and it's just a question of who taught who. Most rocks are older than most plants. Although there's some amazing fossils of that was the thing. The ginkgo here, and the names of these, oh my God, wait a second. Raphinisquina, Glyptothorus, Duvinia, Oniella, Onniella, Oniella, and that's a scallop-shaped fossil there. And this it's printed in Japan, first printing, it's 1982, and it just has the most amazing pictures. But the names, this could be the newest book of poems that are a combination baby naming books. Look at that. Wait a second. Heliolites and Astralia, Septastrea, Prismatophyllum. Oh my God! Hold over there. And this is what a space that I am. I hitched up here 38 years ago, and just miles away are the dinosaur tracks I can go find. This is the Dinosaur Tracks Museum of the Connecticut River Valley. So the dinosaurs were bopping along. Okay, here. So, sorry. This is Favastina, and another. Wait a minute. Heliophyllum. Wait, hold on. Wait. We're bringing the outside inside. The river's downstairs, but sometimes I just don't get it all day. I'll just like go up, and at the upper 40% of my body is like out the window and like loving looking at the tops of the trees in the river. And until 7-8 years ago, the trees didn't come up as high as here because I'm in the roof. Well, you can kind of tell I'm probably in the roof. If this isn't the roof, it's like a funny, wonderful ceiling. Well, look, here's brains for you. Wait a minute. Oh my God. So this is who we are. It's kind of like it feels like everything's really alive and singing. Again, the second I say yes to love, then everything's alive and singing. So I wish that for everyone. If whatever jobs whatever we have to take on this next year, because we don't want to, one of the things we don't want to embolden dictators or embolden dictatorial, whether it's like super local or super around the world, but with Trump going, so like heads of state, that it's better for inspiring people in Poland, or people in Hungary with Orban, and, or maybe people, if they're not as crazy about, because they have, it kills me that, like, how many people, like, kind of respond like with Trump to Erdogan in Turkey. I mean, he did take in so many Syrian refugees, but still, he's so horrible. I think nobody on earth right now, I hope it gets better and better and better, but nobody on earth, I think, has as many reporters in jail as Assad in Syria. And we are so hopeful, because his dad was a dictator, but he had trained to be a healer. He trained to be an eye doctor. So, like, just pray for, like, all these folks who just, that we were so hopeful about. Like, you look, Aung San Suu Kyi. Like did we think she was gonna, like, be like defending this Burmese horror, like, treatment of peoples? It's just and so we're sending so much love to, like, the leadership of every country. So when people, like, if and the people of everywhere, because when you have 700,000 folks or whatever that come across the border from Myanmar from Burma, into Bangladesh. And at first, folks are like, okay, sure, we'll share resources. But then there has to be, you got to really stand up and back it up. Like, it's not the same, I was going to say, but like in East Germany and West Germany, like West Germany put out their arms so big, and I'm sure not everybody's like, why are we paying East Germans way, like our poorer cousins, and we're just taking care of everybody. But look what it led to. We wouldn't have had, like, Angela Merkel's been, like, wonderful in so many ways, and like, so, and she's from East Germany. So it's just been all those miracles, just like, and it's so easy to be shattered over how Modi treats Muslims, in India, and how she treats Muslims, and it's not in China. It's there's different names with last names with Stan, and there's different Mongolias, and there's different, or you think of people that are, I mean, just pushed around. It's like they're begging for, think of Kurds, think of, like, or just picture most people, I don't know where they are in the world and how to pronounce the name of their culture or their language or their foods, or their best friends or what they call their grandparents. And you should want to get to know, just start to picture with one person, because when I open up, like, Germs, Guns, and Steel, the Jared Diamond book, I get my head spun so quickly, because it makes me feel like after a paragraph, doesn't he want to, like, meditate on that and turn it into song and rabbinical discussion? Oh God, I've been on so long. Sorry. If anybody, it doesn't matter if anybody's listening. But see, the good part is that those are still rolling. Like, so that's a clearer sound backup. So be able to, and then it has better sound on there. So if you want to end up adding on to whatever I end up making right now. So E. Oh, your light, it sings from every being that has ever been. Yeah, your light sings from everyone. Yeah, your love is born from everyone. Yeah, you're a light. It's found in everywhere ever. Never really far from love light. Really always sung by love light. No matter where you think you might be, you are really here. The dance in the middle of the room. Root of love is how you get here. Root of love is from every being that has ever been. Everyone is from the love of every being that has ever been. Your heart, it sings from everything. Don't be scared to go sit and breathe. In everywhere if it's ever been, it's pouring through you right now. Go ahead and love. See what miracles just start to happen. Yeah, you are the loving light. Yeah, you are sung through any night. You can bring day to any situation when you don't mind handing out love now. When you don't mind handing out love right now. You are sung by everyone that's napping on earth right now. You are found in every breath of every earth that's singing love light right now. So why would you think you're far from love? Why would you think that you're not love? Why would you think that the folks that seem to be scaring you that they're not love? What do you mean they're not love? They're part of every love light ever. Just because they're scary somehow, they're part of every love light ever. I don't notice this until I bring the love light to the viewing. I don't notice all this love till I bring love light with me to whatever it is I'm viewing. 2020, goodbye. So it's like, that was 40/40. It's the recording. So it's like 2020 times two. And like, but instead of people, so many people are going good riddance to 2022. It's 2020. Um, you know what? It's just, it's giving us a chance of ultimate wake up. We're going to have to, we don't want to be this way. Or maybe I'm the biggest baby ever. I just don't want to have to be this awake most of the time. Yeah, but it always works out when we say yes to like not crawling under all the blankets and just keeping the wind off you. Like, how is the wind trying to bless us? What songs is it handing over? If it's that's how maybe so many songs that you're born from, they come from when something's too loud, the machinery, the factory you work in, or the waterfall that you're next to, you know. Because the only time when I've worked in 12-hour shifts in a factory, it's so loud, but you can sing anything you want from your whole heart, and you can picture it reaching through to anybody that's maybe in a quiet factory, but it's still not allowed to talk at work. So the majority of this stuff that's made in sweatshops, people are not allowed to talk when they're at work. They're not allowed to sing when they're at work. So whenever you find yourself like, ooh, I'm stuck inside here, so are the people making the new clothes and the new fabrics, the new stitchings of everything. But at least you can talk and you could hum. And someone's like, well, what's that going to do? Okay, so you don't even have to do it loud, and you protect your throat. Here we are in the dryness of winter, although all the love in the world till the southern hemisphere, to South Africa and New Zealand and, Tasmania, just Australia. I just spaced. But that's good. The best place to space is you're sending love to other places. And then I'm like, really? My body was still sitting here while I did that? And that, again, is like part of, because I started out saying just about, please go to, because my stepsister died from ALS, Phil Gerber on June 15th. So I started out, I'm going to continue to, the most important thing, you don't have to listen to anything I say, but the House bill that could possibly still pass in the next day or two or three. That's it. The next day or two, really the next day or two. Like, we're still before midnight here. But I think the second is kind of the latest, because it's not the last day that these Congress people that are leaving office that are not answering their phones would be like, I'm out of here. You'd like to think they could still pull together some miracle vote, some ultimate Zoom-hearted vote to stand up for everybody with a motor neuron disease, So it's HR 8662, the corresponding bill, and the Senate is S4867. It's the Act for ALS Act. Act is an acronym. It doesn't have the two A's. It's got the one that goes accelerating access to critical therapies for ALS and it's other motor neuron diseases too. And there's a drug I hadn't mentioned it yet. We go 43 minutes. I hadn't mentioned it yet. Found this drug called Neuron. It's a stem cell drug. You take it out of the person that's got the ALS and treat it, and then put back into them. And miracles, have happened, like in terms of, I don't know, maybe a third of the people. But there's this wonderful soul, Matt, wheelchair, him on Neuron, getting up, this veteran getting up out of the wheelchair and doing certain movements, being able to move in ways that he hadn't in quite a long time. And so those kind of miracles, like I was saying earlier, it's like a lot of the doctors feel it'll be like a cocktail of drugs. So to let all these drugs that are deemed safe, that are phase 3 trial drugs, I mean, Neuron finished its trial. It was supposed to be from the end of October till the end of April, but because of COVID, it took till like the end of June. But here we are a half year later. And it was a big announcement in terms of expanding access with the FDA. The big thing it's still going to take a while, but that was back on December 14th. So here we are, December 31st, and it just you want everyone to have access. And this whole bill got born because Fortenberry's brother-in-law has ALS, and he was hoping and praying, like so many people, that the Right to Try Act that President Trump signed at the end of May 2018 in that photo op with all the people around, with all the people with ALS, they're hoping and praying we're going to be positively, amazingly, blessedly affected, and instead hardly anybody at all had access to the drugs from the Right to Try Act from late May 2018. So Fortenberry reached out, and that's the key: is Democrats and Republicans reaching across the aisle. That's how you could have, because that obviously is folks from both parties, 278 co-sponsors, congresspersons, 278 congresspersons have signed on and co-sponsored this Act for ALS Act, and so. And hardly anybody in the Senate. As a couple of days ago, I don't know if it changed. It was 15. That's all we finally had, and it was like breaking my heart. It was just still calling like Bernie, calling Bernie and Elizabeth Warren's office and Ed Markey, our senators. But even I was like yesterday calling AOC because her and the squad, Presley. Ayanna Presley here from here in Massachusetts. Although Richie Neal keeps the two that have not signed in Massachusetts. Richie Neal, very powerful head of House and Ways and Means. He's the one who just introduced the bill to get the $2,000. That McConnell's standing up against. So Richie Neal and Congressman who's leaving, Bobby Kennedy's grandson. So Joe Kennedy III. So in a number of the tweets I've sent out, like, again, I don't know how to tweet. I think 2 or 3 people have seen the tweet, like maximum, and but I did hashtag for Ethel Kennedy or at Ethel Kennedy, because I figured no matter how devoutly Catholic you could be, I don't understand why you wouldn't be okay about stem cells. I mean, the stem cells from neuron are from person, they're not from embryo, but to be, it's like, why not? If somebody, if you can, somebody's alive, it's just like organ donation. It's just, and if people think they don't know someone who had an abortion, then create such a space in your life for the women in your life, for all the women for all the women and girls that you know, and find out, because it's like people have abortions, and no one would deal with that more intensely than the mother to be, the woman who's choosing not to be a mother, but she's still the host for that, however long. If it's like after 2 months, she just knows she can't possibly. You want to be the best support system ever, and although I have friends that are adopted, and I feel like they're so extra loved because their mom knew that kid wanted to be born, and they found an amazing place for them, and I feel so blessed that they're alive. But it has to be up to the mother. Like look at the miracle that just happened in first country in Latin America in Argentina. It was yesterday. That I think they made it safe for up to 14 weeks. But again, it's not for me to say. It's about interview every woman ever. Just like when someone's like, "What does somebody want?" Or what? I was always used to saying American Indian, and now I'm supposed to say Native American. And what do I say? Ask each individual what they would most like to be addressed by. So if you're getting confused when people say, ask me my pronoun, and I failed freshman comp, I don't know what a pronoun is. Just ask me how I most identify, and then if you change your mind, it's like, the nature of life is to be growing. Like, it was so disrespectful of us, because in the 70s people are like, no, you can't be bi. Nobody's bi. You know what I mean? You got to pick a side, whatever. And even the Human Rights Campaign, it was heartbreaking. Just until recently, until like gay marriage became legal here in 2015, until maybe a year before that or 2 years before that, the longest time trans was not being talked about and included within the Human Rights Campaign. Like, you meet the most wonderful people that are like, finally, okay, they have enough relatives and people that have like safely come out, or they felt safe to come out, whatever, but they're not. But you still, and then you say, and then when you bring up trans rights, even if I don't say queer, intersex, asexual, I just say trans rights, will be like, and they're still, it's still a little thing I'm asking them to get over. And you could say, well, look, you're asking us to grow at these rates, these rapid rates. At first, we thought nobody could marry out of our religion, and it's just, or that everybody has to love somebody of the opposite sex and not their own sex. It's like, why you find out? Like, they're like, if I would be quiet now, I'd find out what anybody else, if there's one or two people watch, which says maybe two people are there. So it's maybe, and whatever their experience might be. So I hope if for some reason, like because it's so echoey, that's why I've been talking way more. No, I talk way too much anyway. But it's like, because the last time I saw this, because I had this last time I was streaming was on Oaks Election Day, but day before Election Day, a couple of days before and Election Day, just because it was like that important. In the same way, New Year's, like, okay, we're this much closer. Never really going to get rid of Trump, because the thing that causes Trump is like it's the ugliness in all of us. You could even say the whole backlash of, because 11/11 is like, oh, the armistice is signed 11/11, but after that, the Germans felt so humiliated, of the arrangements of the deal after World War I ended, and so you wish you would go back in time, and if you introduced, maybe there would be no World War II if you could go back. Well, no, you can't do that. I was going to say go into the 90s, and how when Archbishop Tutu, when they did the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa, and then Archbishop Tutu was invited to go to Rwanda, and even more than even months later, even like a half a year later, the bodies were still there. Whenever he went, the stench was still so crazy there, and it was no safety in like hiding in a church. In the same way, like in Tibet, it's like if you're a monk or nun, you still, like what the Chinese government does and orders and allows its soldiers to do in terms of torturing and raping, nuns, just torturing these monks, and just and sorry, I guess I'm sad, because you want China to go like, oh, let people live, let people just have their, to make people a minority where they've been. But just to torture folks, it's kind of like, what is that? Maybe that's the power we have. If there's people holding electric cattle prods in prisons in Tibet where they've locked up monks and nuns, and so send such a spell of energy that the person who was about to do the torturing, they're like, wait a minute, you started to look like my best friend and my kids and my mom and my grandmom and my grandpa and my dad, and I can't go ahead and torture, because you look like all these people I love. You look like my siblings. How can I torture you? Like, and that was one of my prayers. Like, finally, Trump's leaving, but again, that the idea of wanting to just be so arthritically grabbing onto power because you're not afraid that it's going to rightfully flow to you, and it's like you're not trusting, because you think about it. Once somebody has power, then they're worrying like, should I, like, how are people responding to how I'm acting? You know what I mean? If you're some billionaire, you don't know if anybody's being nice to you because you have $1 billion or you have multi-billions of dollars. So that must be so lonely, to like somebody wondering if, like, why did, like, and if you think people only, like, you have your guard up because you think people could only like you because you have all that power and all that money. You think you have to buy an island and put barbed wire around it. But like those breakthroughs, like, like how many scared people are like maybe taking down some of their barbed wire right now. They just got a little wind, like some bird just sang to them a song what they learned from a tree, and the tree had learned it from some mountains. And these mountains are always singing these songs anyway. Like, think of it like the metals that are in your car, that when you're traveling, and like, how dare we, but the slave drivers we are, as when we put a key into a car and we just go, oh, you're going to go, I didn't talk to you, I didn't thank you for all the work and you've done, and all the meditative, like, it's meditating, it's hanging, and there's time to go. And if this thing's crazy, go talk to all your indigenous friends about this. And so if the car doesn't go, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm late, just breathe instead of pushing it. It's like, maybe it wants to save your life and not be on the road in 1 minute from now. Maybe it wants you a few minutes. And since you have the few minutes, think of whoever's about to go under a surgical knife right now, or think of whoever's like feeling overwhelmed right now, and you just take those minutes while the car's warming up. Or if the car can't start yet, then you go, I won't try and start it. And the acoustics, it's like in a hallway or a bathtub. right? The acoustics in the car are amazing. I was just saying that to somebody the other day, like even like hoping and praying that people who were told not to sing, they just start singing in their car. They start going in their car 10 minutes earlier because it becomes their favorite meditation place. You know, I mean, some people go out to their car because it's the only place, because their place is so dense and busy, or maybe during COVID, it's the only place they can make everybody safe. And maybe their bucket seat, like totally rev back, like is more comfortable than anything else. Dude, it's 11:29. Okay. Oh my God. I think there's a third person. Oh my God. So. You sing from every loving life that's ever been. You're birthed from everywhere you've ever walked through. If you could remember everything that you were dreaming this morning, wouldn't mind going out into the day. Suddenly you don't mind turning into love for the sake of the day. Suddenly you're okay about bringing love light to anyone who could use love light, to anyone who could use love light. You're sung by the heart of every, you're sung by the heart of every, you're sung by the heart of everyone who's ever been. You're sung by the heart of every, you're lit by the love of them. You're sung by the light of everyone who's ever been. And so is everyone else on earth. So is every love light here on any earth. All I want is say yes to love light. All I want is say yes to love light. All I want is for the sake of her. Suddenly you get unscared to break out all the love that's ever been, just like everyone that's made of mostly water, and think how high we get just being in water. And we're all made of mostly water, and we get mostly high about babies more than anything, because babies, of all the folks, if you're in a room with really old folks and really young folks, the babies have the highest water content. Oh my God, there's still 3 people. You are sung by lights of love, no matter what appears to be. You are brought by lights of love, no matter what appears to be. You are lit by every light, no matter what appears to be. Everyone's the root of love, no matter what appears to be. Wait. You're sung by the heart of everyone. You're found in the heart of everyone. Don't be so scared. Don't be so scary. You want some stuff to work out a little better before you go outside. Why don't you marry yourself before you step outside? Why don't you marry yourself before you step outside? Why don't you marry yourself? Why don't you marry yourself before you step outside? Then you be kind to whoever's coming towards you. And actually, if you want to live an amazing life, live as if you're already dead. So whoever's walking towards you in the street, you're going to have an exchange with them, so that when you're looking back at it years or months or decades or lifetimes from now, you'll be like, oh, I'm glad I was kind to them. And it's like, instead of what can we do, just know that whoever you're walking towards on whatever street is some friend. And even if the ugliest being, I mean ugliest, doing the meanest things, that's what makes somebody ugly, doing the meanest things. Think of how wounded they must be. And then what part of love light, of the catapult, of like the seesaw, of tipping the scale back, if someone needs to be that cruel, well, maybe nobody's like checked them on it before, because that's like, it'd be, if you want to stand up, you got to be willing. The only 2 times I've ever been beat up and hit in the face are both times when somebody was drunk and beating up someone else. And both times I intervene, like, please don't beat them up. And the person who's really drunk is just as happy to start beating me up instead of the other person. But it did give them a moment to meditation, and I'm still here to talk to you about it. So it's like, the first time was in the bar mitzvah, the parking lot of Leonard's of Great Neck, where there's like one of those places where it's like 8 or 10 bar mitzvahs and weddings going on at the same time. So 8th grade was the year first started getting high, but it was so intermittent that it was just going out to have a cigarette at was it at Mark Goldberg's bar mitzvah, I think, yeah. And some drunk guy was just like going and freaking out and hitting someone, and I went up and intervened, and my parents brought me to the police station the next day. Look at our son's face. Can't you do something about it? Sorry, you two guys fell in love and you led to this. So, well, no. So I survived. The other one, can you see? I have like a little chip in the tooth. I can't really. Wait, see that right there? This one there. It's not really good. It's very low resolution kid. Anyway, so I was tripping, and Phil West was tripping, and we both were. I think, was this the night of the Zappa show maybe? And that was it. I felt so glad to be alive that nothing could hurt, because this guy was punching me. Shorty from the rugby team was punching me in the face. What was it? But Beth, hi, Beth. Oh my God. Beth Quinlan, I think you saved me because you were friends with Shorty and you convinced him to stop punching me. See, Shorty went up to punch Phil, and then so I love Phil and I didn't want him to hurt Phil. And then Phil, like a couple of days later, I should sue Shorty for my glasses are broken or something. But Shorty used to like beat up people like every week. He was like an orphan, I think, and I think he was like the star of the rugby team, and so like the coach gave him a pass and maybe even was living with the coach or something. I don't know, just really. Alan, a friend I lived with twice up in Brockport, who I love so much, who died on double transplant waiting list. And he had told me that because a really good friend of his, a really dear friend of his, Vinny, and him and Vinny did all his martial arts together. And Vinny was so upset at what Shorty did, at Shorty beating me up, that like they didn't tell me he's gonna do it. I'd be like, no, let's like nip it in the bud and not keep the thing circling, But so Vinny went and hurt Shorty. Something like pulled his arm out of his socket, But I didn't ask him to do. I only found out after, and Alan's like, that was kind of Vinny's way of saying that he liked me or loved me, that like pulling Shorty's arm out of his socket. Maybe he put it back. I think he said he put it back the wrong way. But then if Shorty could take the hits, because rugby looks like the most brutal sport, and Alan's probably, it's funny. I should be quiet. Alan's saying, Toby, shut up. He's like, because Alan loved music so much, the diabetes, he, was for so many years was making it harder on his night vision, but music, the healing from sounds, and I feel bad because Alan would always keep wanting me to join him at, I can't believe I never went to, because I would just end up just working on stuff and hardly go out for those last bunch of years, but to the Ramble, to Levon Helms Ramble, because in the barn, the medical fundraisers that Levon would have. Oh, but Alan's like saying, because Alan would Alan and Hannah, his daughter, who, because of helping take care of him, she became a nurse, and now she passed too, and so they're both in angel form. But he used to. How many dads like take their kids, to the post Jerry, Phil and Friends shows and the Allman shows, and there when I was saying Zappa, because Alan was so into, oh my God, was so into Zappa, but that was it. Was convinced that I was in hell. I was tripping and in hell because a Zappa show was like the opposite of being in a Dead show. So but then like 3/4 of the way through the show, I went from hell into heaven, because I was convinced that 16,000 people in Buffalo War Memorial Auditorium had thrown a surprise birthday party for me. They weren't. I was just tripping. But I think that was the same night. So so when you survive that, you're just like, oh, okay, I'm in the best mood ever. And that's why when Beth got Shorty to stop punching me in the face, it's like I was kind of like Robin Williams, and kind of like it wasn't as bad as that, but it's just like, thank you, could I have another, thank you, more please. It kind of like, it was not hurting. I was divorced from whatever pain, and I wasn't feeling scared or angry. So thank God, Beth, thank you for pulling Shorty off of me there. Wow. So the moral is, sing. That's what Phil and I were sitting on a stoop like 40 feet away from, I think it was Shorty's girlfriend or something. And he's like, what are you doing? Oh, we're just smiling. But we're smiling at everybody, not just her girlfriend. I try to remember how the whole thing started. 40 feet away. It's like nobody owns anybody. Like, let everybody smile at who they want to smile at. Oh my God. Okay, dude. Okay, so wait. Everybody's got some Trump in them. Everybody's got a part of them that they are not ready to hand love over to what is needed. Everybody's got a part of them that sometimes does not want to see us all as family. So if we picture every dictator on earth right now and send them so much love that they'll start hallucinating in the most wonderful way that like when Puerto Rico was hit with hurricane, like just kept praying that Trump would wake up every day and be convinced he was Puerto Rican, or if he's just saying terrible things about African nations, just that he would wake up and just feel that he's African and just look in the mirror and see African and because if you ask most white people, you say like, oh, are you okay about waking up black tomorrow? Even if it's only for the next 5 years, but there's no guarantee. And why should it matter if there's no guarantee? It's like when we were all in Africa, like so long ago, like we're all from East Africa. I love somebody says something really horrifically, heartbreakingly racist to me. That's one of the first things I say to them, because if they need to kill me after saying it, then they have to live with that, And then I and these other dead friends would help haunt them in a really good way. So then they could be like one of those like skinheads who like now gets death threats from the skinheads because now he's going on a speaking circuit as an ex-skinhead. And who's the guy who worked at the record store and became a dad, but now he's on the tour? Well, now you'd have to do Zoom gatherings. Wait a minute. I should be singing. But I'm an idiot. Because I'm saying stuff that I could say or think or whatever. But find out what music wants to get born here. Wait a minute. Wait. Should I try and? How's this? Can you see this here? Wait a minute. Can you make that out? See, I think on that camera would be, but this one looks so rough. I don't think it's coming out on here. So wait, instead of, you know what? All right. Never mind, Bo Peep, we will find your sheep, no matter where they be. Okay, so your heart is born from everyone ever. Your heart is sung from everyone ever. Your ways of loving are built in the dream time. Your pebbles are made of everyone that's ever sung. Your cells are rippling, reaching every music ever. Your heart is singing from every river and every being ever. Why would you be scared to bring love light to every being ever? Why would you be scared to turn into love light that sits in the root of every being ever? You are anyway every bit of love light. You are anyway every love light ever. Why would you think that you're not love light? So we could just start picturing all the scariest people we know in our lives, the people that we want to tell our entire truths to, but we're afraid we'll just get slammed and overwhelmed. And that's the thing, is like once people that you know or love, or hopefully love everybody, but once they die, then you're not afraid you wouldn't be afraid to bring up something to someone who just died. What are they going to do? They so like, what are we scared of? Somebody being mad at us, and we don't. And even a dead person being mad at us, nobody's going to haunt you unless you like have an issue yourself with what you've been doing. Kind of like, and that whole cultural semantics thing, Resmaa, RESMAA.com, Resmaa Menakem. He's where George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis on May 25th. Resmaa is a clinical director for for mental health for these African American families in Minneapolis. So he works. He's African American. He works with the African American community. As a healer. But then he also works with the police department. He's got this book, My Grandma's Hands, like the Bill Withers, Grandmother's Los Angeles. Okay. So, but he works with contractors, like in all these bases in Afghanistan. The point is, people who are internalizing stuff that they know they wouldn't want to have happen to them, or like cops who like just toe that blue line, hold the, and they don't go and report. They don't. You're witnessing stuff that's against where your heart knows you want to be, and everybody, any person could take that on. Like, even if when does it begin? You could be a 5-year-old coming back from school. I'm thinking Massachusetts, I think, was the last state where people were like, yes, the state can teach our kids, otherwise homeschooling everywhere. But the kids are like, wait a minute. Or even if you're homeschooling, the kid starts to go like, well, church is such a big thing to us, and it's telling us that we should have slaves, and it's okay to have slaves, or it's okay to sell your daughter into slavery, or it's okay to kill someone for working on the Sabbath. And although I think that was supposed to be a law, like to try and stop slavery from happening, to make they have at least one day off. Or maybe that was but it's so horrifically creepy, because it should be the 12 commandments, or just take out some of the earlier ones where just God's going on about God, because the 2 commandments that aren't there, that should be there, how would the world be different if it's thou shalt not rape? If that was one of the commandments, that was it. It's there. It's in stone. And the other is thou shalt not have slaves. And just, and it's weird that, because even today, this, like, depending on the metric they're using, could up to 26, 27 million folks. You could say that includes like the folks on the fishing boats, like folks on the, is it Thai fishing boats? And there's some folks from Cambodia and maybe Burma. Trying to think of these fishing boats, but that, if you're not allowed to go home, and that could even happen within like U.S. territories. Remember, there finally was a congressional fact-finding mission, because they're like, we got to go there. Really, it was going to be less golf than if we went to Hawaii, and they went to I think Saipan in the Marianas, U.S. territory in the Pacific, and because you could technically say USA territory, so you could say, well, these like Wrangler or Lee jeans or whatever were made in the U.S. And so, but it's the classic thing of taking the people's passports and saying, well, you cost us this many thousands of dollars and you're an indentured servant, even if you're not actually being a prostitute with the same threat of violence and murder, even if you're just working at this factory making stuff for supposedly legitimate American companies. And again, it takes until to change it. It's so sad, but it would take that much activism and that, but secret writing and secret camera work to finally get a congressional visit to bring a flashlight to it. And that's the thing, National Labor Relations Board, like, you hope, one of my prayers would, like, and he probably still gets a lot for, I don't know how much Michael Jordan gets now for endorsements, but I know at the peak in like mid-late 90s, he was getting like at least 20 million a year. Probably, maybe it's more now, I don't know. But the thing is, one thing, Michael, when you go and you're going where they make these soccer balls and basketballs, they make stuff in Indonesia, and Nike will say, oh, we pay workers at twice the rate of what the rest of the workers there, and they'd be happy to get this work. But that's not the point. I'm just bringing it up because Michael Jordan could be like, no, take me on the real tour, or no, I'm going to do a surprise visit. I'm not going to let you just have a PR thing. Like, you really want to make things better, because like I was saying earlier, just like in most places that make our clothes, you're not allowed to talk or sing at work. But you can still let the song be in your soul. Like, do you ever have friends who played a lot of really louder musics? Could have been anything. It could have been classical loud, but it could have been punk or metal or whatever, or it could be loud jazz. It could be just industrial, anything. Like, the loudest show I was ever at was Throbbing Gristle. Seriously, that's the name of the band. It's like, they're famous. A lot of people are like, what? You got to be at that show at Kazar? And we snuck in. I didn't even know, but that's what, I didn't know what they sounded like, but a friend who was into the Dead Kennedys, and we'd go to see Dead shows together. And it was sneaking into Kazar Pavilion, and if we got turned down, we couldn't get in at first. We couldn't sneak in at first, and then we did, and it was amazing because I had to leave before Throbbing Gristle was over, because I was like, had my hands over my ears and I have like toilet rolls over my head, and I just whatever I wrapped around my head, it couldn't block out the sound. But the band before them, Flipper, the feedback that Flipper did that night, I wonder, I mean, this is me hearing it, that's like around 39 years ago or so. So And the thing is, I didn't need to go even hear the feedback. I probably wouldn't be. Something about being in feedback. There, living in San Francisco, there was a guy, of course, I was either 926 or 928 Haight Street, and the guy across the street was, he had studied at conservatory, but now all he wanted to do all day long was play feedback. And the way we got to meet was, it was driving me crazy because he was right across it. It was just all you just heard was feedback. And so he knew what was going to happen. It's like, we love some of the same stuff. And he brought me in and just had me start going feedback. And feedback is so slow and patient. And dude, okay, it was only 11 minutes to midnight. It's the end of 2020. Jeff, shut up. Okay. All right. So we'll just sing the last 11 minutes here. It says 2 people, but I have a feeling there are 2 cats who are not fighting over the remote. Wait a second. I could be, or maybe even like hamsters. Hold on. So E flat. Wait, hold on. Stand up to Mitch McConnell. Stand up to every fear. Stand up to Mitch McConnell. Don't push what you feel about deep down in your heart. How you feel about the earth. Don't push that down. Let yourself resound. Go downtown and sing from every song. Really found in love and light. Really found in love and light. No matter what is happening. No one's really far from helping. No one's really far from loving her. No one's really far from helping. No one's really far from loving Earth. No one's really far from helping. No one's really far from loving Earth. You're born from every bird that's ever walked by. You're sung by every stream that's ever sang. Suddenly you don't mind those plants that they were freaking you out, but suddenly they are singing to your heart from everyone that's ever said yes to love. They are singing from down from everyone who said yes to love. They're singing from down. What God did was not get in the way of love. Best thing God ever did was say yes to love. The kindest thing God does is say yes to love. Best thing about God is when you say yes to love, that is God. When you bring love everywhere with you, that is God. When you don't mind handing out love to folks who are being really terrible, just tell every truth that you need to, but love whoever they might be deep down, 'cause no one's really born a stinker. No one's really born to put you in hell. No one's born to be a hater. No one is born to keep anyone from love, babe. No one's really keeping you from love except you are. No one's really keeping you from love. No one's really keeping you from love. You're the only one who's ever keeping you from love. Come on and think of everyone you've ever liked to love. I just hallucinated a horse. Okay. But every being's really everywhere. Everyone is really singing in you. What do you think is going on when you are scared to love? What is really going on when you are scared to love? What is really going on in any moment that you're choosing to be scared to love? It doesn't feel like a choice, but you are choosing to be scared to love Earth right now. Why would you be scared to love Earth right now? Why would you be scared to break love out to every being on every earth right now? You're never far from love light. You're never far from love. You're never far from love light. You're never far from love. Even the people who are most freaking you, they are also, sorry to say it, but they are also the root of love light. Everyone who's standing in your way of happiness, everyone who's freaking you out, they are also the root of every love light. Or am I scared to notice this? Or am I scared to notice this? Your heart sings from every one that's ever been and ever will like to love. Go sing from each being and know that everyone is light. Water loves to sing in everywhere. You're water. So for earth let's now care. Sing from every heart song of all beings that have ever, of all love that has ever. And love is all there is. I know rhythmically I fell off the Flintstones a little bit there. Dude, I'm so old. When I was really young, the Flintstones were actually on late night. They were the first like prime time, like I think maybe Friday night or something, 8 o'clock. I don't know. And it's really sad. Fred and Barney's biggest regret. You've seen the ads of them when they used to promote. They used to shill for Winston cigarettes. So Fred and Barney feel really, really bad about it. No, I don't. Alan Reed was Fred, who was for Alex for 50. Who was wait. This is the closest. If you didn't have weights when I was like in 6th grade, what's this? Is this isometrics, dude? I'm freaking myself out. Okay, I'm just all right. We're 3 minutes to the end of 2020, and whatever New Year's resolutions you'd like to feel that are circulating the Earth right now that could help Earth, that you'd be really glad you did. Like, be one of the people among the folks you know. Like, start living out your dreams more. Like, just start writing and painting or mountain climbing or singing. Well, mountain climbing might be a little harder right now. Depends the area you're in. But everything you've always wanted to do, like catch yourself in the language. You go like, oh, I wish I did that. I wish I had time. And now you finally have time because of the heartbreak of COVID-19. So get like, just do boosting up, like nourish all your loved ones, and like confess to each other like the dreams that what you'd most regret if you didn't do, like the things that you were going to write or do or make or learn how to make or learn how to craft or learn how to stand, which I don't know what that. I never make it through a whole yoga class because I'm always so underslept, so I always like pass out, and I don't know, have a zillion dyslexia, so I don't know how to exactly mirror when a yoga teacher's teaching me something. But and my head's like a sieve. So even if I'd say, oh, I want to learn more about plant identification, even if somebody tells me the name of a plant like 50 times, I still, because it's singing, the plant is singing about its every middle name ever. And who am I to say like, oh, these folks here decided that's the name, because it just, I keep meeting people with the most amazing names, and it really feels like, there must have been someone in the neighborhood around when their mom and dad or whoever was trying to pick the name. And I always think this, like, enough folks sing the name into the wind, like the goldfinches out the window. the last 23 years, but especially because they're right directly out the window the last 7-8 years. And then I get sad because you look it up and it says greater goldfinch and then lesser goldfinch. And how could the terms greater and lesser in identification, like lesser, it just seemed like you want like the whole in Japan, like a baseball game, the highest thing is like no greater or lesser, like everybody play to a tie. You see the sacredness in each other. It's 11:59 at 2020, December 31st. So we're somewhere near New Year's. Just sing it through. Wait. Everyone's heart all at once. Do you hear everyone's heart beating together? That's how we're gonna help Earth get through everything that's coming. Because our soft, our diamond hard, but open-hearted. It's yielding, but it's strong. A heart can, whatever's coming up, we're gonna be able to handle it. And every time we get ourselves freaked out, we should just take turns reminding us, is like, all right, let's just bring love to whatever the problem solving is or whatever the dance of the situation is. And if you don't mind bringing love to the revolution, to the problem solving, then it's always worth participating in. It's like, what's the Barbara Deming to think of? I won't be in your revolution if I can't dance. Well, I won't be in your revolution unless I can freely think about love while we're discussing everything. So that's how to. There's the bell. That's the church bell. So it's 2021 right now. There, we did it. Oh my God. So thank you, every being ever. I hope. There, in terms of resolutions, I hope you tell there's at least a few people in your life you can tell your entire truth to. Even if one person, I hope you have at least one person you can tell your entire truth to, like your dreams, all the stuff you get anxious about, whatever it overwhelms you, but whatever you just totally love too, and that's it. That'll give you permission to like grow bigger heart in all these other relationships. Because why do people wait like 20 or 30 years to say, oh, when you do that, it breaks my heart, or I wish you'd do this, we all freak each other out. Like if I was ever trying to watch this back, I would break this up into like 30 different sections, because even I couldn't handle probably watching me for like more than 2 minutes or something. We could end on, we just became midnight. We became midnight. Okay, we sing. I'm like the biggest fool ever. Wait, let's have a party. Everything's worth nibbling, everything's worth singing, everything's worth love life, everything's worth your kindest open heart all at once. Turn into some kind of kindness all at once. Suddenly you're not hating, how did you do that? Suddenly you are not scared to love your neighbor who's been hating you. How did you do that? How did you turn into love light all of a sudden? How did you do that? How'd you turn into love light all of a sudden? How'd you turn to love light all at once? Who'd you start to think of so you could turn into love light all of a sudden? Who suddenly took over your brain that you're okay about love all of a sudden? It's been here all along, just like it's all of a sudden, but love's been here all along. Know what it means to be scared to love anyone. Know what it means to be so scared. Say yes to love life. Say yes to love life. Your heart sings from every being. Your heart sings from every being. We don't know much at all, but we know your heart sings from every being. I don't know much at all. I don't know anything for very long, but I know your heart, it sings from every being. You never far from love. You're never far from loving faith. Never far from love. You're never far from loving faith. Never far from singing someone home with your whole heart right now. You're never far from helping someone home with your whole heart right now. You have sung from the heart of every. You're birthed from the heart of every. You are found by love. You are birthed by love. Why would you think you're such a stinker deep down? Deep down. You're really not so mean deep down. Deep down. Deep down. You're really not so mean deep down. Deep down. That's where everything is singing. Deep down in your soul, you're found by love. Any moment ever's got love light singing in. Every moment on earth really the root of love. Like when I don't mind bringing love, when I am looking at anywhere on earth right now. And all these miracles start to happen when I don't mind turning into love light for the sake of earth and every other earth right now. Okay, so last minute or two here. Your face, your heart, 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 your face. What's that? Some of our friends from Central America will be like, kind of make your heart your face. Your face sits in the blessed breathing of every other. Your face sings from the heart song of every stranger that's ever walked into a new situation, but they decided to bring love with them. They walked into a scary situation, but they decided to bring love with them. They walked into a really scary situation, but decided to bring love with them. Watch what happened. Walked into a really scary situation, but they brought love with them. What do you think happened when they brought love with them? What do you think happened when they brought love with them? What do you think happened when they brought love with them? Oh, so it's half step down that. Okay. So then, wait. So this becomes A flat then. Your heart is birthed by everywhere. You don't have problems when you bring love. Did you notice that you forget every struggle when you bring love? You bring love to the struggle. You're a warrior. You can still stand up for everyone, but you don't have to be a jerk as you do. You can always bring the softness and love as you stay so strong. You can breathe the strong, yielding, loving lights of everywhere that's ever been. You got the heart of every being ever. You got the heart gladly of every being ever. They all get to keep their heart, but you got every heart. Somehow in the same breath, you are born by love light. You're never far, you're never far, you're never far. You're never far from love. 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 Why would you think you're so far from love? At this point, I don't know, because I'm afraid I'll just, all right, this is, again, you should have left 2 weeks ago, but I'm just, all right, last, whatever wants to get born, last. What key would you, all right, hold on, wait. About D? Okay. about HR 8662. HR 8662. HR 8662. HR 8662. In the Senate, it's 4867. HR 8662. HR 8662. HR 8662. In the Senate, it's 4867. Accelerating access to critical therapies. Folks with motor neuron disease, yeah. Accelerating access to critical therapies for folks with ALS and other motor neuron disease, yeah. That's the same place I started. Just, I want you to call your congressperson. There's 278 congresspeople that are already co-sponsoring this Act for ALS Act, accelerating access to critical therapies for people with ALS and other motor neuron diseases. Talk to your congressperson, because the session doesn't end. Like, they could still maybe vote. I think their last day is the 2nd, so they could come in on Saturday and squeeze the vote, have the miracle that people with ALS right now, it's what my stepsister Phil Gerber died from this year, and it doesn't have to be this 100% fatal disease. It doesn't have to be, you know. Her dad, Milt Ebner, we lost him. He was in hospital most of the last 6 months, and we just lost him on December 6th. You know, so then they couldn't get to be together when she was dying. And you know, but in angel form, they're getting me to remember to say that before I go turn this off now. Just Happy New Year to everyone. And you know what? All we can do, instead of ever fixating on a personality like Trump, just have that beautiful mirror of total open-heartedness, and notice we all at some point in the day have some Trumpiness in us. It's just scared that, you know, it's thinking that we have to grab at something that's flowing through anyway. There's enough love and enough resources for everyone. All my zero population growth friends will say, no, there's not, you know, just it's like, if so many people go to attend, you know, are working on a problem, you know, like that's was saying, like with ALS, with how they worked on with AIDS and the cocktails of it in a lot of parts of the world. It's not a death sentence to have AIDS, but a lot of parts of the world, like sub-Saharan Africa, it is a death sentence. Too often heartbreaking to have AIDS. And so you want this miracle with ALS, because it shuts the body down. Your hands can't move, your feet can't move, your body can't move, your hands can't move. You can't, eventually not being able to end up breathing. You need a machine doing breathing for you. And you're all like, Mayuri, go to help. We'll end it on this. Go to helpmayuri.com. So Mayuri Saxena in Flushing, in the Bayside area there, that's where I grew up and went to high school. Went to Bayside High. And so her and her brother, it's amazing. And this is Doug, who I have never met in person, but she's got 24-hour care now. But her mom laughs. Mayuri's mom laughs the most hearty, amazing, love-filled laugh ever. I mean, she's being shattered. Her daughter is like there, and she must feel so helpless because she herself is a doctor. She's an emergency room doctor. You know, Mayuri and Mayunk's mother, and and she'd been doing all this help with in Washington and then in New York. And so because even if you go to Stevens Nation, they'll send you over to Help Mayuri, or IamALS, IamALS.org, or AXE, do the hashtag AXE, AXE, ALS, that's stevensnation.com. And then Help Mayuri, they'd send you over to Help Mayuri, because the focus has been so inspiring, and they need folks. They totally need folks to help. We need folks. We need help. We all can just do in our own way, you know, however you can do. But just good health miracles to everyone, and peace miracles to everyone, and love light to everyone on earth. And especially the people that are doing the scariest stuff. It's too easy to just hate someone. So the people that are doing the meanest stuff, the people that are doing the despotic, you know, genocidal orderings, you know, the generalissimos that are just treating certain peoples as not as worthy as others. It's just like, ask for, every moment has prayer in it. Ask for every former dictator that used to be alive. Once they die, they go back to being their sacred, open-hearted prone to laughter and joy, 2 and 3-year-old self. And they're like, so I think they're really talking, I'm not kidding, to like present day generals and people who sit on, the boards of these kill the earth corporations. And then one of the things to do is just reach out to these people that are doing the scariest stuff. If you're working 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week and you don't have to feel you have time to do the activism, then just start focusing on who you want to visit to. Like, what meanies do you want to visit? Like, focus on them like 5-10 minutes before you go to sleep. A lot of indigenous peoples around the world would do this. And so, and then by the third night or so, something will translate. You'll be able to carry something that you had by your pillow to give it out as a gift, because all these tribes have a thing. I first learned about it in 1981, the Sonoy tribe in Malaysia, where that was just reading. That wasn't like meeting the tribes folks in person, but it was like reading about it. And it was like, instead of being with, and so if you have a dream friend, you give them a gift. If you're a dream sweetheart, you give them a gift. But if you have a dream enemy, you demand a gift from them. And that, like, nobody means to be cruel. And once you once they give you a gift, your gift back to them is that you're not attached to the gift. We thought it was as a negative phrase, Indian giver, when I was growing up in Queens in the 60s. And it's the most positive phrase. It's not that Indian giver taking something back. It's that the gift must always move. And that's why the potlatch, the giveaway, just like, because like in most native cultures, the accumulation of stuff, the accumulation of stuff is thought as a sign of mental illness. Oh, but along those lines, so there you go. If anybody's needing me to donate art for any charity, as long as it's a compassionate charity that's not pro-dictator, okay? Again, love to all dictators, but we're not supporting the charities. And so they could, could write to me at Jeff Tobis, JEFFTOBIS 2000. So 2000 at yahoo.com. And so if I can help, and my and if I miss the first one, try the second or third or fourth time, because I miss a bunch of messages, and I want to be able to get the art too. And if the art doesn't exist, I'll just make it. You tell me about something going on in the world, and I can make up. And if you're in the area, I love doing that over the years, like leave out on my porch, like an envelope, so that with 20 or 30 drawings. So if someone's on their way doing COVID, it's tougher, because if someone was about to go like halfway around the world, I'd give them an envelope. Like, I just met them like 3 days earlier, or they're like a friend of a friend. I hadn't met them, but they go in, I give them the package to go in with thin paper, like drawings and paintings on really thin paper. So you can like give away on your trip to strangers you meet. And sometimes it's beyond words. You're in a place you don't know how to speak the language, or people are about to take off on a train. And if you have one of my drawings or paintings, you can just give it out as a gift. But always save at least a couple for your last plane ride home, so you can give out on the last. And you know what, Bobby? What am I saying? By the time you're finished with the trip, you should, or even way earlier on, you should know that you can make art as amazing as anybody ever, and you can just give that out, and then that would feel like the most whole, open-hearted, well-lit thing. Because think of it, all the people that are like going crazy, like trying to hold on to power. Think of all the playful, love-filled things they'd rather do. They'd rather be in cuddle puddles. They'd rather be singing poems to each other. They'd rather be just like dancing, instead of having these machinations. And these holding on to power is like the opposite of like just being in water. I mean, it's hopefully whoever's in water now is being really, really comfortable. If you're not, get out. We don't want you to get hypothermia. But you know what I mean? Because if we're made of mostly water and then we're surrounded by water, it's like the water meeting water. And it's like one of the highest things ever. So, oh, dude. Okay, we're 18 minutes, 12:18. We're 18 minutes into the year 2021. And I love you. Oh, if I end right here, I just said I love you. It's an hour and 43. So 1:43 is what Mr. Rogers used to say. 1:43 is I love you. And Yoko does that, like, one flashlight, and then 1, 2, 3. Love is 4, and then 3 is 1, 4, 3. I love you. So that's it. And we love you forever. I might, oh my God, I'm sorry I went on so long. But go, just sing from your heart every day. And if not out loud, at least start off with your beautiful heart and your singing silently. And then sing out loud to someone within a minute from now, please, just for the sake of love. We love you. Wait, what happened to, how did it? I blew it. Was it? I could say that's gross, because now it's 144. So that's kind of a sacred number. 72. 72 times 2, 144. Okay, we can go out on that. That's okay. Hold on. It is very, very sacred because, 18 times 4, sacred 18. Just think of it. And 72, like what is HD? And it comes in 720 or 1080. And, the whole, and they're all related to the 360 of everything. So, and think of it, look up 108. There's something about 108, 1080, but look up 108. There's like 108 stitches on a baseball, 108 prayer beads. FM dial goes up to 108. Thermometer goes up to 108. We're sending healing love light to every being ever. We're sending healing love light to every being ever. We love you. Wait. Okay. Change my mind. It's not just us sending, it's every grandmother on every earth ever is sending that healing love light, is shining it. And if you've been told in order to shoot somebody, or if you're thinking about blowing up people or something, just picture the folks and their families and how the families would be so heartbroken. And then maybe people coming up with, it's supposed to killing people you thought you were going to kill that day will grow up to like come up with cures for all these diseases. Like they're going back to the last thing before leaving. Can you say back to me the number of the bill that we're trying to get through for the Act for ALS Act? It's HR 8662, and in the Senate, it's S 4867. And just, and maybe when you're seeing this someday, then be like, what are you talking about? ALS used to be a 100% fatal disease, not anymore. But find the movie You're Not You with Hilary Swank, and that's what I was saying earlier. And George C. Wolfe directed it, and Loretta Devine and Ernie Hudson and Marcia Gay Harden and Ed Begley Jr. in it. But it's what happens, like going through how the horror of what ALS does to a person and to the people around them, and to what it does to the body. It's just, that's why we have to find a way to get this bill passed. We will. We love you. Wait a minute. And now we can finally, we love you. Happy New Year to everyone. And don't be scared about, like, if somebody has diametrically opposed opinions to you, if they voted for Trump and they're scaring you to death, just like, don't talk to anybody until you think about something you like and love about them, instead of just hating them or talking at them, like, because everybody means well. Everybody's doing what feels right to them. You know what I mean? It's like, and, people are being really cruel. They seem like they don't want to include other folks. We all get that way some of the time. Like, just picture the kindest members, the most open-hearted, kind members of the family of the people that are freaking you out. And just picture them to be even more open to their own grandmother's love light and their own grandmother's, advice. Or when somebody's thinking of doing something really terrible, just give them. You'd say do a hologram first to make sure it's not, so they don't freak. But no, put a baby in the arms of somebody who was just thinking of ordering death squads or ordering bombings or whatever. They got that baby or they got the puppy in their arms, And there's something about like with a baby, go forehead to forehead with a baby. It's like the most sacred thing, You start oming, just like hold on. We love you. We love you. Every being ever. We love you. We love you. Thank you, every being ever. Even though I'm scared to remember this so many times throughout the day. I love you. Every being, I love you. Even though I'm frightened to remember this so many times a day. I love you forever. Every being ever. Deep down, we love everyone deep down. And the more we remember that, that'll make for it like a pretty wonderful life. Okay. Grandmother's love. Every grandmother's love light to every being ever.